For decades, you've been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But what if I told you it's one of the biggest food industry scams ever created? Breakfast, the meal that supposedly fuels your day. But what if I told you that for most of human history, breakfast didn't even exist? For thousands of years, humans lived without eating right after waking up. In fact, in ancient Rome, people only ate once a day, and it wasn't in the morning. So if humans survived for centuries without breakfast, why do we believe it's necessary today? The answer: marketing. And no one did it better than a man named John Harvey Kellogg. The year is 1894. A doctor named John Harvey Kellogg is about to change the way the world eats forever, but not for the reason you think. Kellogg wasn't just a doctor, he was a religious fanatic. He believed that certain foods could control impure thoughts.
Have a bowl of cornflakes, spoon them from the dish, touch the rooster, make a wish.
I wish I could go down the Amazon.
And so, cornflakes were born. But here's where things get interesting. His brother, Will Kellogg, saw something else: a massive business opportunity. And like John, Will wasn't interested in purity, he was interested in profit. By the early 1900s, Will had transformed cornflakes into a commercial empire.
Kellogg's right to faces on the All-Star Breakfast Show.
But there was just one problem. The cereal was too bland, and people hated it. So what did he do? He added sugar, and that changed everything.
Are the cereals in the grocery aisle as wholesome and nutritious as their ads in the front of the boxes suggest?
Before long, breakfast went from a simple meal to a sugar-loaded addiction.
I've got diabetes,
sleep apnea,
high blood pressure.
I get dizzy when I get up.
They launched a massive campaign to convince you that breakfast was essential not because of health, but because of money. By the 1950s, some cereals contained more sugar than desserts. But instead of warning people, the food industry did the opposite.
As you know, I'm practically an American institution. Why? Because for the past 75 years, everyone from Miss America to Dennis the Menace has sung my praises.
They launched a massive campaign to convince you that breakfast was essential not because of health, but because of money. But cereal was just the beginning, because soon, an even bigger breakfast scam was coming, and it involved bacon. If cereal was the first great breakfast scam, then what came next was even bigger. And it all started with one man, Edward Bernays. Bernays wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a doctor. He was a master manipulator. And in the 1920s, he was hired by the pork industry to solve a problem. Americans weren't eating enough bacon. But instead of selling bacon directly, Bernays used psychology. He asked 5,000 doctors a simple question: is a bigger breakfast healthier than a small one? Of course, the doctors agreed, and with that, Bernays had his hook. He turned a bigger breakfast into a bacon and egg breakfast. Overnight, bacon and eggs became the all-American breakfast. But here's the truth. This wasn't science. It wasn't nutrition. It was a sales pitch. And it worked. Even today, 100 years later, we still believe that a hearty breakfast is essential. But what if it's not? Because the truth is, modern breakfast isn't making you healthier, it's making you addicted. Have Have you ever wondered why breakfast foods are always the same? Cereal, toast, pancakes, coffee. It's not because they're the best foods. It's because they're the most addictive. And that's not an accident. The modern breakfast industry isn't about nutrition. It's about keeping you hooked. Food scientists discovered something decades ago. A perfect combination of sugar, fat, and salt can make food as addictive as drugs. This isn't just a theory. In 2013, a study from the University of Connecticut found that processed foods, especially those eaten at breakfast, trigger the same dopamine response as hard drugs. Every bite of that wholesome cereal, every sip of that morning latte, it's designed to keep you coming back for more. And the companies selling it to you, they don't want you to know the truth. So after everything we've uncovered, should you stop eating breakfast? The truth is, it depends. Some people thrive on a morning meal, while others feel better waiting until later. But what's important is breaking free from the myth. What if you only ate when you were truly hungry? What if you stopped letting big corporations decide what's healthy for you? Because the truth is, breakfast isn't required. It's just another business model.